Deep in the heart of rural India, shrouded in mist and legend, stood the Bhairav Palace, a crumbling monument to a glorious past. Villagers spoke of it in hushed tones, their voices laced with fear and respect. They told tales of a heartbroken king, a vengeful spirit, and a curse that lingered. No one dared to approach the palace after dark. The setting sun cast long, eerie shadows, and the silence was broken only by the rustling of leaves and the distant howl of a jackal. The palace stood as a silent sentinel, its crumbling facade a testament to time's relentless march. Its windows, like vacant eyes, seemed to watch the village below. Some villagers claimed to have seen flickering lights in the dead of the night. Others spoke of hearing the mournful strains of music carried on the wind. Priya, a young woman known for her courage and curiosity, refused to be bound by superstition. She scoffed at the tales, dismissing them as folklore. To her, the palace was a puzzle waiting to be solved. Priya believed in logic, in reason, and she was determined to uncover the truth behind the palace's sinister reputation. Priya, I will spend a night in the Bhairav Palace. I will return by daybreak, and then you will all see that there is nothing to fear. The elders pleaded with her, their faces etched with worry. They reminded her of the stories, the warnings passed down through generations. But Priya was resolute. She would face her fear, and in doing so, free the village from the grip of the palace's curse. As the sun began its final descent, casting an orange glow across the horizon, Priya approached the palace gates. She could feel a palpable change in the atmosphere. The air grew heavy, laden with a strange energy that sent shivers down her spine. The iron gates groaned as she pushed them open, their rusty hinges protesting after years of silence. Stepping inside, she found herself in a courtyard, now overgrown with weeds and thorns. The palace was a labyrinth of shadowy corridors, crumbling archways and darkened rooms. The smell of dampness and decay permeated the air, mingling with the scent of dust and something ancient and unnameable. Priya's footsteps echoed in the silence as she navigated the palace's darkened hallways. Moonlight filtered through cracks in the walls, casting dancing shadows that seemed to writhe and contort. She stumbled upon a hidden door, concealed behind a tapestry depicting a royal procession. Curiosity piqued. She pulled the tapestry aside, revealing the door. It was made of dark, heavy wood, adorned with intricate carvings that seemed to writhe and coil like living things. She felt a cold draught emanating from the other side, carrying with it the faint scent of jasmine and decay. With a deep breath, she pushed the door open, and it creaked ominously as it yielded to her touch. The hidden chamber was small and circular, with walls lined with shelves stacked with ancient texts and scrolls. In the center, bathed in a ray of moonlight streaming through a hole in the ceiling, sat a pedestal. And on that pedestal rested a jeweled casket, its surface shimmering with an otherworldly light. Priya approached the casket, her heart pounding in her chest. As she drew closer, she could hear whispers, faint and indistinct, seeming to emanate from the casket itself. They swirled around her, whispering of forgotten kings and queens, of love and betrayal, of sorrow and rage. Whispering spirits, forgotten kings, queens, love, betrayal, sorrow, rage. Priya reached out a trembling hand and slowly lifted the casket's lid. A gasp escaped her lips as she peered inside. Resting on a bed of faded velvet lay a single object, a silver hand mirror, its handle intricately carved with the image of a beautiful woman with mournful eyes. As Priya gazed into the mirror, she felt a chill run down her spine. The whispers intensified, swirling around her like a vortex. And then she saw it, a flicker of movement in the mirror's reflection. A face materialized, superimposed over her own. It was the woman from the mirror's handle. Her eyes filled with a deep, unfathomable sadness, whispering spirits, sadness, longing, trapped forever. The face in the mirror opened its mouth, and a voice, cold and ethereal, echoed through the chamber.
It spoke of a broken heart, a thirst for revenge, and a curse that would plague the land for eternity.
Terrified, Priya dropped the mirror. It clattered against the pedestal and the whispers abruptly ceased. As Priya stumbled back, her hand brushed against something cold and smooth. It was a small silver amulet lying on a shelf, its surface etched with strange symbols. Instinctively, she picked it up and clutched it tightly in her hand. With the amulet clutched tightly in her hand, Priya turned and fled from the chamber. She ran through the darkened hallways, the echoes of her own footsteps adding to her terror. She could feel the presence of the woman from the mirror following her, cold and vengeful. Stumbling through the palace, she raced towards the exit, her breath catching in her throat. The palace seemed to close in around her, its shadows reaching out like grasping claws. She could hear the mournful cries echoing through the halls, urging her to stop, to turn back. But Priya pressed on, fueled by terror and a desperate hope for escape. Finally, she burst through the palace gates and into the cool night air. The first rays of dawn were just beginning to paint the sky with hues of pink and gold. As the sun climbed higher, casting its warm rays upon the villagers gathered, their faces etched with a mixture of fear and relief.
Priya stood before them, exhausted but triumphant. She held up the amulet for all to see, a symbol of her harrowing ordeal and her narrow escape. She told them of the hidden chamber, the jeweled casket, and the vengeful spirit trapped within the mirror.
Priya's story spread throughout the village and beyond, becoming a tale whispered around campfires and passed down through generations. The Bhairav palace remained abandoned, but its power over the villagers had waned. Priya's courage had broken the curse, freeing them from generations of fear.
And so, on moonless nights, when the wind howled and the shadows danced, the villagers would gather and tell Priya's story, a testament to the enduring power of bravery and the triumph of the human spirit over even the darkest of fears. They remembered Priya, the girl who dared to face the unknown and emerge victorious, forever changing the fate of their village.